Hello everyone, I'm Joe Ackourey, and welcome to the Fly of the Week. For this episode, episode 80, I'll be tying a yellow humpy dry fly. Humpies are an attractor pattern representing several different insects such as mayflies, caddisflies, stoneflies, and even some terrestrials. It's a very high floating dry fly, making it an excellent choice for fast water conditions. I typically tie this fly in sizes 8s, 10s, 12s, 14s, 16s, and 18s. So, without further ado, let's get started. Here we go, the yellow humpy dry fly. Start by placing your hook in the vise, making sure that the shank of the hook is relatively parallel with the tabletop, and begin to cover with your thread the front half of the shank of the hook, like so. Now I'm going to include the eye. So there's half and there's the other. So now wrap back up half of that. That's our sweet spot for our wing. So the first material for this fly is going to be our wing material. And I like to use my dark dun Compara dun hair. I've seen this fly tied several ways, where you combine the wing and the body together. I just like, this is the way I feel most comfortable tying it. Wing first, tails next, body, underbody. So that's what we're going to do today, guys. So there's our amount of deer hair. I cleaned out the fuzz. Any fuzz that's in between the fibers. And the amount I took is about 3/4 of a gap's worth of hair. And I'm going to place the natural ends into the stacker. These are the natural ends. These are the cut ends. Place the natural ends inside your hair stacker and stack them up really nice. Let's see what we got. Oh, very nice. Nice straight edge. So now, the next step is determining the length of the wing. So as a rule, I measure the shank of the hook, including the eye, for the wing length. So we have our sweet spot. I'm going to anchor that in there with maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wraps, and then take them off. I just like to put a crease in the hair so that my very first wrap, you can see how much deeper it bites into the deer hair and attaching it to the shank of the hook much better. So we have our length, which is the shank of the hook, including the eye, and now we're going to clip off our excess. Okay, very good. Cover up any excess material with thread. And we're going to pick up our wing material and dam up some thread in the front. Like so. That'll stand up our wing. I'm going to get rid of a couple of these wild ones here that don't want to cooperate with the rest of the group. So now I'm going to reorient my hook a little bit leveler because I really torqued on it when I put that wing together. So now you want to separate your wing in equal bunches and use your figure 8 method. From the back in between to the front. Take your thread from the front in between to the back and just repeat this process 4 or 5 times. And then pick the wings up. Dam up some thread in the front to lock that figure 8 in, and do the same for the back. And let's check them out. We got 1 or 2 hairs that still don't want to cooperate. We'll get rid of those. And there's your wings, guys. Now let's prepare for the tail. Wrap your thread to the back of the shank of the hook, where the shank and the bend meet. And now we're going to put our tail material in. Tail material is going to be moose mane. I like using the moose mane. I mean, you could make the tail out of deer hair, elk hair. Moose mane is what I like to use. So I'm going to take out about maybe 20 pieces of moose mane. I'm going to stack this. First I'm going to just glide my scissors through it just to clean out any short hairs or fuzz, which will prevent it from stacking. And then I'm going to take these natural ends and put them inside the hair stacker. Just give it a couple good stacks. Let's pull our stacker open and see what we got. Nice tails. Now, I'm always open when I do this, when I check to see the straightness of the moose mane, I'm always pulling it off in the direction where the tails are going to be facing. You want the tails, the natural ends are going to be facing back, so it doesn't make much sense to pull it out this way and then you have to fumble with the tail. Always pull your materials out in the direction that they're going to go. The less fumbling, the better off you're going to be. So, that being said, let's measure our tail length. Our tail length is going to be equal to the shank of the hook, including the eye. Hold that spot and attach it to your hook shank. Very good. Let's see. I think I'm just a tad long there. There we go. Nice. And then you're going to wrap that all the way up till you hit the bump of the material that was tied down for the wing. So you blend them together just like so. And look how nice the transition is. Okay, now let's get our thread back just a little bit further. There we go. So in review, we used we found our spot for our wing, which is half the gap. We wrapped our thread initially from half the gap, and then we wrapped back half up way, and we used the Compara done deer hair in dark for the wing. We used about a half a gap's worth. We stacked it, and we attached it, and we separated the wings with using our figure 8 method. And once the wings were anchored and separated, we made our tail out of the moose mane. Took maybe 15, 20 fibers, and we stacked that. We made that equal to the shank of the hook, including the eye. So now for the body. The body's a little bit more complicated. It's not, not real hard, but we're going to take some of my Compara done deer hair in a medium shade. It could be dark shade, medium shade, whatever. And we're going to just take another, about a half a gap's worth. Clean out the fuzz. Kick that out. You can see it coming out. Open your scissors up about 1/8 of an inch. Clean it out. And we could stack this as well. Put our natural ends in to the hair stacker. And we're going to attach the natural ends to the shank of the hook, like so. It's imperative that you wrap this deer hair all the way back to where the tails start. You do not want to see any flaws when you pick this body up, the body covering up. I don't want to see any gaps between the tail and the body cover. So we're just going to let that hang back like that. So this is a yellow humpy, and I like to use yellow floss to build the body. So I'm going to attach this piece of yellow floss tightly up against the deer hair there, and begin to wrap and overlap a slightly tapered body. I get the taper by just overlapping closer and closer. Sometimes I have to do a full wrap over the top, but yep, you got the idea. So there we have it. There's our underbody. And again, I'm going to catch an occasional piece of deer hair. Nothing I can do about that. That's the way of things. That's the way it is. So once I have that body, that underbody finished, I'm going to grab this bunch of deer hair and very carefully keep it centered over the top of the shank of the hook. There we go. Let's hope that looks good. Still not happy with that. Advance my thread a little bit further. Right about there. There we go. Here we are. Don't worry about your wings. I'm going to put at least 6 tightly wrapped wraps to anchor this body. Okay. I'm going to hold on to this group of deer hair for the body and clip it off clean. So there's your body. Excellent. So now the remainder of this fly is just hackle. And what we're going to do is we're going to use a grizzly and a brown hackle. And we marry them together. I'll show you in a second here. I take my brown hackle and my grizzly hackle. I'm going to put the brown on top of the grizzly. Really doesn't matter. And make sure that they curve together, moving. There's a natural curve to the feather. We're going to make sure that they curve down and over the fly. Okay? Not up and away, down and over the fly. And I'm going to anchor those hackle fibers, those hackle stems on the side, and continue wrapping those stems through the front, but I do not want to crowd the eye. Once I get what I want, I'm going to clip off the excess and begin to wrap my hackle. So, the brown hackle first. I'm going to try to get 3 or 4 good wraps behind. So there's 1, full 1, 2. I guess 3 is going to work really nice. 3. Pull your wings back. Bury one right in front there. And continue to wrap in the front 3 times. Secure the hackle. And work your thread back into that hackle without matting it down. Just kind of get jiggy with it, with the thread. So now it's the grizzly hackle turn. Grab your grizzly. And the grizzly hackle is going to be used to fill in any gaps. So I see a couple there. There we go. And I like to give the hackle fibers a little pull, just to get it all together. I see one more there. There we go. And then there's enough room here to get 3 wraps in the front with the grizzly. I could get a little more room out of my hackle here. Just open up the hackle pliers and utilize the remainder of that hackle. There we go. And tie that off. Clip off your excess and form your head with your thread. And tie your finishing knot. Guys, with exception of cleaning up this fly, it's done. It's a great pattern, great fast water pattern. It floats like a cork, and great attractor. Like I said in my intro, it's a great pattern for imitating pretty much everything. Caddis, mayflies, stoneflies, and a handful of terrestrials. So yeah, and also the brook trout love it too. So let me just waterproof that knot and look for any other hackle fibers that aren't going to cooperate. I want to clean up the fly. I think that looks fairly good. So there you have it. The yellow humpy. Great searching pattern as well. So, I want to thank you for joining me in this episode of the Fly of the Week. And if you like the content I'm pushing out, please hit the notification bell and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for joining me. Tight lines, guys.